Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the index of method as well as lost index of method. So these are the two overloaded method we identified. Now here you can see index of which is expecting character. Now the same index of which is expecting as a string here. Now we identify the differences between these two methods here. Now today we'll try to identify the another important method which are available under this particular string classes. What are the important method we are having? So mainly we'll discuss about the substring method. Substring is nothing but modifying the string, modifying the string. So how these particular strings are going to be modified here. So to understand this particular string, we are having important method. Now if you observe carefully, these are the println statement I'm going to comment out. Now I'm going to use the same string. Now here str dot substring. Now if you see substring, basically it is again overloaded method. Substring basically again it is a overloaded method. Now here you can see first method is a substring, and the third method also if you see this is also substring. But here what is the difference here? First method is expecting only one parameter now into begin index. Now what about this particular the third method substring? It is expecting two parameters. What are the two parameters? Beginning index and end index here. Now what is the difference between these two? So mainly here what you need to understand here, beginning index and end index, basically between the character beginning and ending, how many characters we want to load. Using this particular second method we can load the between character. What about this particular first method? Whatever the position you are providing the beginning index, so based on the position now we can load the all the characters up to the end here. For example, if I'm going to provide 0, the beginning index I'm trying to providing as 0, because internally this particular string how it is going to store here. So as we discussed in the previous session, this particular string it is going to store as a array values. It is going to store as a array values. Now each character it is going to store in the which number here. Now the index will start from 0, 1, 2, something so on here. Okay, this is the way based on the string object. Now internally the length is going to increase here. Now what I'm doing using this particular substring method, here I'm providing the beginning index. For example, if I give 0, from 0 it will try to load all the objects. Now if you give here in place of 0, 10, from the 10th index onwards, from the 10th index onwards, it will try to load the values. Now if you give the 20, from the 20 index onwards, it will try to load the all the values up to the end of the result here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand here. Now first we'll observe how this particular index like a substring method is going to work. Now here substring method is trying to return as a string object. Substring method, it is trying to return as a string object. Now if you print this particular substring, now what is the value we are going to get here? What is the value we are trying to load here? So now after build this, now if you see carefully, returns the index within this particular whatever the message we copy here up to with, if a correct character is with. Now if you see, now this is the same whatever the thing, because what is the index location I given as a 0. Whenever I given as a 0, it start with a 0 onwards, like 0 index onwards. Now for example, if I give as a 40, now you can see what happens now. From this particular 40, this is the 40 location, the T character is resides here. In the 40 index location, the character we are having as a T. Now this particular T character is, from this particular T character, it is trying to load all the values here. So this is what we need to understand here. Now if you give this, so from this particular beginning character as a 40, now I want to load end character. End character I want to load only 50. Okay, I want to load only 50 here. Now if you see between this particular character 40 to 50, whatever the string we are having, the particular string is going to load. Now you can see the first here. Okay, so this is a way between character. If I want to load, you can provide the beginning index as well as end index. Okay, now if you want to load from the beginning position to end of the string. End of the string. Now you can go for this. Now if you are not interested to provide this, now if you want to, even though explicitly if you want to provide the end of the string, now what we can do, you can call the method str.length. Now if you see str.length, now there is no use basically, because still we are trying to load the end of the result. Now you can see from the 40 index onwards, now we are trying to load the end of the string here. Okay, so this is the way this particular substring. Substring basically between the position from index and end index, between this particular position, how many characters we want to load, you can provide explicitly the position. It will load the all the values. Okay, it will load the all the values. So this is all about the substring method here.
I have
Okay.
a doubt in here.
Okay.
So the string index starts from 0, so the R letter, the capital R, which is it starts with the index 0, right? So when
Hmm.
we have given it as begin index as 40, it has started from the first occurrence. So from R till that, the T of that letter, the first, does it have the index 40?
So you can count here. Here we need to here you need to count all the space also. Between the spaces also it is going to store in a one index. Now for example, so 0, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, space is 7, and T 8, 9, 10, again space is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, space is 17.
Yeah,
Now you can see.
correct. Yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will reach to the index is 40. So if you want to understand, now what we can do, we have a one method. So what is the method we are having? str dot to char array. Okay. Now let's run as a debug mode. Okay. Now we are calling this to char array. Here you can see 40 index location. So in the 40, now what you are seeing here, it's starting with the T only.
Okay.
Okay. Now here you can see 32 is for space. Here also we are having one space. Here also we are having space. Now if you go to little bit, here also we are having space. Now here also, here also. So this spaces also it's going to be included. It is going to store in the one index location. Okay. Now whatever I given 40 index, now it is matching inside this particular array type, because this particular string internally it is going to store like this. Now if you want to understand here, you can see each and every character with the space, it is trying to store in the specific index location here. Now, so this is all about the substring method. We here, based on our requirement, we can provide the beginning index as well as we can provide the end index. Now what is the main advantage here? Whenever we are giving this particular beginning and end index here, between the characters, if we want to load, we can go for the two parameterized method. Otherwise, if you are interested from the beginning index, I want to load end of this particular string here. Now you can go for the one parameterized substring method. Even though if I'm trying to give this particular str dot length here, so there is no use basically. Now explicitly explicitly if you provide this particular str dot length, so there is no use, because this index, this particular 40 itself, it will try to load from the beginning 40 index location to end index here. But here if you see n minus 1, okay, something like a length minus 1. Now whenever I'm trying to load, now here what you can do, whenever we are trying to load this particular substring 40 minus length minus 1, here it is trying to load, the last character is removed. What is the last character we are having here? H here. This particular H, it is not printing. So between this particular character only, it is trying to print here. So this is the way also we can provide the length minus 1, length minus 2, whatever you are interested. How many character we want to exclude from this particular end index here. So that is we can go for this particular length also here. Okay. This is what we need to understand regarding this particular substring. Substring is one of the important method whenever we are trying to work on the logical related operators here. So this is all about the substring method. Any questions?
No, all good. No question.
Okay, now we'll go for the concat method. Now earlier what we did basically, whenever we are trying to start with the initial example here, now here we come up with a concatenation. If you see here, string s is equals to, here along with this particular string, now I'm trying to add a double related integer related here. So this is also one kind of concatenation. Now, so we'll need to understand here how this particular concatenation is going to work along with this particular concat method. Now, what is the differences here we need to understand here. Now, if you see, if I'm going to print this particular s here, whenever I'm trying to print this particular s, what is the output we are getting basically? Now here, this is the string message. After the string, what we are doing here, I'm doing the plus operator to add this particular string with another data type. So what is another data type we are using? Here we are trying to use this particular double here, double data type. Now here, this is the first paragraph string. Now we come up with the addition of a double data type, and again we are trying to use this particular string here. So totally this entire this particular message converted as a string here. Even though in between we are trying to use a double data type or into data type or char data type, whatever we are interested, but finally what is the result we are getting? The result we are getting as a string here. Now, if you observe, here I'm trying to load the string related method. Now you can see last index of length method, index of byte method, to lowercase, uppercase. So these are the string related method. Okay, but now using this particular concat method. So what exactly this particular concat method is doing? Now, this concat method is also, it is going to append it to the end of the string. End of the string. For example, now I'm trying to add this particular end here. So carefully observe, if I'm trying to print this message, now what happening is, this is basically 9 years old. This is we added, but end we are getting. So end we are getting. Where we added this particular end? Using the concat method. But I want to add before here. I want to add before this particular string here. So how we can add basically? How we can add basically? Now if you observe, every time it is adding this particular end of the existing string here. So now, so if I want to add, you need to give this particular empty string. Now you can go for the concat. Now what you can do, end here, and you can give the one more concat method, and you can call this particular s here. So finally, what is the result we are getting? Concat here. Now in place of this particular s dot concat, now you can call this particular concat here. So if you observe carefully, what we are doing here, what we are doing basically, first we come up with the empty string. After this particular empty string, now we added this particular end here. But there is no scope. Whenever we are trying to use this particular concat method, every time it is going to add the whatever the new string we are trying to add, it will add on top of the existing, but that is going to add end of the string here. That is going to add end of the string, because this is existing string we are adding. Okay, so there is no scope using this particular concat method. We cannot add a string before this particular existing string. So this is very important here. We can add this particular message end of the string only. If we want to add, what is the way of doing it? You can go for this particular plus symbol, and you can add whatever the message you want to add. Getting the point? So here, what we can do, so between this particular string you can add. Otherwise, what we can do, you can go for this particular one more plus symbol. Now here, what is the message I want to add basically? Whatever the important message you want to add. If it is a string, Now, no need to add this particular section of code here. So if it is a string, what we can do basically, simply here you can add a end here. If it is not a string, what we can do basically, you can go for the another data type, whatever we are doing here. But so the concat method, every time it is going to add the new string end of the existing string here. So this is what I want to provide the information regarding this particular concat method. And if you see substring, whatever substring we discuss here, substring is also returning an string object. Now concat method is also internally it is returning an string object. So why these two are returning a string object? Because this concat and substring internally it is going to create a new string object, and the particular new string object is going to return here. The particular new string object is going to return here. But here every string it is not going to return the existing object. Even though we are using substring and concat method, every time we'll get as a new string, because of string is a immutable concept here. Existing string it cannot append with a newly added message. So this is we need to understand very carefully here. Okay. Now here in the previous method, whatever the methods, those are going to return as a string. All the methods are going to return as a new string object as a return type here. This is also important information we need to understand here. Okay. Any questions regarding this particular concat method? So it's a simple answer. Concat basically whatever the message you want to add, the message is going to add end of the existing string here. Whenever it is required, you can call the concat method. You can append with the existing string. Mainly where we are going to use this particular concat in the real cases. So whenever you are trying to build the customized queries, in that case we are going to use this particular concat. Concat is nothing but, for example, we are having one of the e-commerce website. I want to filter the order based on the age group. I want to filter the order based on the amount, like based on the date. So how we are going to do? Based on the certain condition, if I want to filter based on the age, now what I will do, if the age value is greater than 0, or if the age value not equals to null, now what we will do, we'll call this concat method, we'll add a so additional query condition, like where age group greater than 0, or age group something like whatever the value we are going to provide. So based on that it will concat it. So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular concat in the real cases. So substring mainly we will focus more about the logical program, but in case if we want to load only email related properties between characters, if you want to load between characters, now you can go for this particular substring. So this is also important method. Okay. Still any questions regarding the concat or substring? Okay. Now, if we don't have, now we'll go for the another important method called replace method. So what exactly this replace method will do? For example, here I'm having str dot replace. Now if you see carefully, now here what is saying here, old character and new character. Old character and new character. So this is also same basically. So this is also same. What is the character we want to replace? And the second one, it is a cat sequence object here. Now using this particular cat sequence object also, now we are what is saying basically, what is a old object, now what we want to repeat here. What is a old object, what we want to replace here. So here you can see first one is replace method character level, and this is an object level, and replace all. So replace all basically what exactly is doing it based on the regular expression. So this is something like a regular expression. Regular expression is nothing but if the character starting with A or it end with D something, so that all the strings are going to be replaced here. For example, if I'm trying to give the regular expression as a S, any string it start with the S, those are going to replace it with whatever the replacement character we are going to provide, or whatever the replacement string we are going to provide here. So this is what we need to understand. First we'll see how we can go for this particular char related section. Now here I want to provide the char. Now what is the char I want to provide? In place of yes, I want to come up with a. In place of yes, now I want to use as a here. So this replace method is also internally what is doing here? It is trying to return as a string object. String object here. Okay. Now, whenever I'm trying to return this particular replace method, what we can do? Just simply we can print this replace here. So replace is a string reference variable. Now it will try to provide the latest updates here, later whether this particular object is updated or not. Now if you read carefully here, yes is there in the last character, it's replaced with a. Here you can see this s, now it is replaced with this particular a here. Now same thing wherever we are having this particular a is coming. Now earlier what is we are having this, basically this is an s here. Now the second one a is replaced. So same way here also a is replaced here. So this is a way the particular yes character, now it is replaced with this particular a here. So this is the important method. Basically, whenever we want to replace here, so we can make the certain condition and we can call this particular replace method here. Now, what about this particular replace all method? What exactly it will do? Now, if you want to understand here, here you can see, here I'm going for the replace all regular expression. The first parameter we need to provide as a regular expression. Now, what I'm trying to provide here? Now, basically, whenever I'm trying to provide, so simply I want to give as this particular space here. And here, now what I will do, I will go for the one more. So str2. So now what I'm doing is just I want to copy up to this particular string here. Okay, now here I'm going to call str2 replace all. Okay, so first we'll try to print as a replace all, and later we'll go for the replace method. Now here you can see what is returning, basically whatever we are having, the same information it is trying to return here. But here now what happening, basically inside this particular return 1 2 3 I'm giving, here 4 5 6 I'm giving, 1 2 3 I'm giving, 4 5 6 I'm giving. Now again I'm trying to run this. Now if you observe carefully what happening here, now whatever this particular 1 2 3 and whatever this particular 4 5 6, now observe carefully, here we don't have 1 2 3 and 4 5 6 here. Now what happens, basically here, carefully observe, this is the str2 we are having. Now this str2, what exactly it is having? Returns 1 2 3, the index within the 4 5 6. But whenever I'm using this particular slash d, what it will do, it is going to replace the numbers here. Whatever the digits we are using, those digits are going to be replaced with this particular empty here. Okay, now if you want to understand here, what we can do, you can add a star here. You can add star here. Now if I'm going to run this, what you will understand here, in place of 1 2 3, one star came, and in place of 4 5 6, one more star. Earlier we given as a space, but now I come up with a star. What exactly it is doing is, whenever we are having a number, so the numbers are going to be replaced with this particular 4 5 6. Now you need to understand the regular expression. So based on the regular expression, now we can replace the position here. Now using this particular replace method, what we are doing here, just we are trying to replace this particular characters. We are trying to replace this particular characters here. So this is all about the important section here. Okay, this is all about the important section. Now another important section, what we can do in place of this particular regular expression. Now what I will do, I am going to give you the wherever we are having. For example, here I am having SS. In place of SS, replace with a star. In place of SS, replace with a star here. Now here you can see 1, 2, 3 as it is coming, 4, 5, 6 also coming. But wherever we are having SS, okay, here it is replaced with a star. This is also one way of replacing the characters. So this is all about the replace all method. But here, what is playing an important role? Regular expression. This particular first parameter is going to play. If the regular expression is not available, it will not do any operations here. It will not do any operation. If it is available, then it will replace with whatever the replacement value we are providing here. This is all about the important method. Now mainly we'll go for the sometime replace method because we are trying to replace with a character. Rarely we'll try to use this particular replace or method wherever, because it will replace all the existing string here. Wherever we are having whenever the regular expression is going to satisfy, the particular section of code is going to be replaced with whatever we are trying to providing the values here. This is what we need to understand here. So any questions? Replace and replace all method.
No.
Okay. Now, here another important section here, we are having trim method. So what exactly this particular trim method is doing? Now if you observe carefully, now here I'm trying to give the spaces here. Again I'm trying to give this particular space within this particular string here. So before I'm trying to give two spaces, and after also I'm trying to give two spaces, but between I'm trying to give as a one space here. So for example, str2 dot 2 char array. Whenever I'm doing this particular 2 char array, what happens internally? What happens basically internally? Now let me run as a debug mode. The particular str2, if you see 32 and one more 32. So what exactly 32 here? It is the ASCII value of this particular space here. Okay, first space and second space. Now we go for the last also. Here you can see 47 and 48. Okay, so here also beginning this particular string we are having two spaces, and end of this particular string also we are having two spaces. But between, if you see, one space is only. Here you can see 32, 32, 32, as well as here we are having 32. Only one space we given between the each and every string here. Now what I am doing here, now what I will do, using this particular string here. After this str2 dot, now I'm going to call this particular trim method. What exactly this particular trim method is doing here? What exactly this particular trim method is doing? Now I'm going to print this particular trim here. Okay. So before going to print this particular trim, now trim dot to char array. Okay, trim dot to char array. Now here I can go for the chars one. So now chars basically it is the original string, and chars one basically after calling the trim method, now we are trying to check the differences between chars one and chars here. So observe carefully what exactly this particular chars and chars one array type is returning value. Okay, now so chars we are already identified. Now I'm going for this particular chars one. Now, first we need to see the size here. We need to see the size here. Now, what is the size basically? Size basically, if you see, 0 is started and it is ended with the 44. Now, 0 to 44, something like 45 is the length here. What is the object type we are checking? Cats 1. Cats 1 length is 45. Now, what about this particular cat's original object? Now, if you see, 0 is started. Now, it is ended with the 48. 0 to 48 is nothing but 49 here. The original one is 49. Now, after calling the trim, what is the size we are getting? 45 we are getting. Now, what happening internally? Why the size is reduced now? Getting the band. So this is all about the original object. After calling trim method, now we are getting this particular size. So the size is now reduced to 45 here because the trim method, if you observe carefully, this trim method before spaces, if you see before 0, we have a two spaces. Before spaces, like before this particular original object, we are having this particular two spaces here. Those two spaces are removed, and end of this particular string, again we have two more spaces. So those two more spaces is also removed here. But what about this particular between spaces? Here you can see one and one more. So the 32 and 32, 32. These are the spaces still available. But what is the advantage we'll get from this particular trim method? The trim method basically it will remove the before the string, after the string. Whatever the spaces we are going to have, those spaces are going to be removed here. This is the main advantage of this particular trim method. Okay, mainly we'll use this particular method like a username related, password related section, because if I'm whenever I'm trying to calculate the password with the spaces also, even though you are giving the correct password, it will not validate properly. Now in that case, what we can do, we can go for this particular trim method. It will remove the before the password and after the password, whatever the spaces they are going to have here. Okay, this is what we need to understand here. Now, any questions? Any questions regarding this particular trim method?
No questions.
Okay. Now we'll try to review the another method which is available under this particular string class. So value of method. This value of we already identified in the previous classes also. Value of basically what it will do. Again, it is a overloaded method. It will try to convert the different to data type into string class. So for example, if you see string dot value of. Now, how many parameters are like how many methods we are having currently? So these are the methods we are having under this particular string class. But here each and every method is expecting different to data type value. First one is string, second one is char, long, float, double, boolean, object, and here we are having character array, and along with the character we are having some different parameters. Now what you need to understand here, again value of method is also overloaded method. Okay, value of method is also overloaded method based on the specific data type. Now for example, I am going to provide the integer value. The integer value internally it will convert it as a string here. So how it is going to convert it? For example, I given as a 45. For example, I given as a 45 here. Now, whenever I'm giving as a 45, this particular 45, it is going to store as a like this, 0, like double quotes, 45 and a double quotes. Now, within this particular double quotes, now we are providing the 45 value. Now, this value, it will not treat as an integer. This particular value, it will try to treat as a string here. It will try to treat as a string. This is what we need to understand here. Now, what about the original value? The original value, it's look like this, 45. It is not come up with this particular before double quotes or after double quotes. If whenever we are giving, so those value will become as a string here. Now same thing it is applicable for the all the another data type. For example, 65.09. This is something like a string value, sorry, double value. Now this double value, if I want to convert into string, how it is going to convert? It's a simple one. It is going to use the double quotes 65, 65.09 and end with the double quotes. This is all about the important section. So this is the main purpose of this particular. This is the main purpose of this particular value of here. Okay, observe directly. I'm trying to print because values of also it is going to return string as a return type here. 65.09. Now let me run as a. Now here you can see 45 and 65.09. But we cannot understand what exactly whether this 45 is a string value or integer value. This 65 is a double value or string value. But how we can see? So to understand this, what we can do basically, here we are having an option. Here we are having an option. Now what is the main option we are having here? Now, so values of method I'm using and values of one method. This out here, values of one dot length. So length method which is not available in the integer. So same method it is not available in the double. The length method it is available only in the string. Now what we can understand, whatever the double value and integer value we provided, now successfully it will converted into the string here. Now same thing I am going to print for this particular value of dot length here. So length method is available only in the string and only in the string. Now using this particular conversion. So what is the conversion? Integer value I'm trying to converting into string. Now same double value I'm trying to converting into string here. Now if you see, first one is returning 5, second one is returning 2. How it is first one is returning 5? Because here you can see 66 is the one index location, 5 is the second, and 0 third, and this is the dot is going to store in the third position, 0 is the fourth, and 9 is the fifth. So something like here, it store the value as like this. 0 index location, first index location, second index location, third index location, and fourth. And the 0, what is the value it is going to store? In the 0, what is the value? Something like a 6. First index location 5. In the third index location only dot. Now fourth index location 0. And in the fifth index location is 9. This is for double value. This double value now it is converted into string here. What about this particular integer here? Integer we are having only two values. Then the first index location 1 and second one is 5 here. So something like 0 and 1. Getting the point. Now this character, like this particular numbers, internally converted into the string object. Whenever it is converted, what is the length? Length will start from 1. Index will start from 0. So don't confuse it. The length will start 192. Now if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So same thing. For double, it is trying to return as a 5. For this particular integer, it is trying to return as a 2. Okay, this is all about the conversion, like one data type into another data type. Now using this particular value of method, we can convert into string data type with different data type here, like integer, float, char, double, boolean, whatever we are having. Based on that, we can convert it into this particular string data type here. So this is what we need to understand. Now along with this particular value of, now if you see, values of is having few more methods, this last two. First one, if you observe carefully what exactly it is doing here, this particular section of method, it is storing character related data. Okay. Now you can provide the char array. So for example, I'm having 5 characters. All the 5 characters internally, it will convert it into the string object. Now what about this particular method? This particular, the value of method, it will try to along with the char array, it is expecting the positions from which position to which position we want to copy the character values. Getting the point. Now here you can see offset. Offset is nothing but from which index onwards we need to start the value. If you give the 0, it will try to copy the value from 0 index location. If you give something like 4, it will try to copy the value from the 4th index location. So based on the offset value. Offset value is nothing but from which index onwards we want to copy, that will provide. And count here. Count is nothing but how many characters we want to copy. Like 2 characters, 3 characters, 10 characters. How many characters we want to copy, those informations also will provide as a third parameter here. So this is all about the important section. So this particular value of related value of related method we already discussed, I think. Let's see anywhere we are having. So same thing like get chars method. Okay, even though we'll try to identify. So ch is equals to, I'm trying to copy some. Okay, these are the characters we are having. Now string dot value of ch. String dot value of ch here. Yes here. Now if you print this particular sysout s here. If you print this particular sysout s. Now what happening internally? All the characters are going to be converted as a string. Now you can see A, B, C, D, E. So we come up with the character. Now it is trying to return as a string here. Now this is first part. Now what about this particular second part? String dot value of. Now I'm trying to call this particular method here. Now here I'm going to provide the ch here. Now I want to load from the second index. Now I want to load only 3 characters. I want to load only 3 characters. So 3 characters we don't have. Currently we don't have 3 characters. Now we'll see what happens internally. Now if you see, okay, sorry, I did not return this particular value. Okay, now I'm trying to print this particular S1. What is returning? CDE. Okay, so here I given as a offset 2. From where it is started? From this particular second index, and how many elements I'm trying to copy? 3 elements. Now, for example, if I give 4, here, what happens internally? Whenever I'm trying to give as a 4, now you are getting as a some exception. What is an exception? String index out of bound exception. Why we are getting an exception here? Basically, so we are having only 5 here. But from the second index onwards, we are unable to copy the 4 characters. Here you can see I given as a 4, but how many we are having? 3 here. We are having 3. Still, we don't have a one more character. Because of this, now it is throwing an exception. Now, whenever you are giving this type of offset and count, the count should available within this particular character array. Then only it will copy. Otherwise, so this is an exception. You will also get here. What is saying basically, offset is 2, count is 4, but current length is 5. Current length is 5. From the second index onwards, we don't have a 4 characters to copy the value. This is what this particular exception is saying here. Okay. Now, any questions regarding this particular value of method?
No.
Okay. Now, what is another important method? For example, here we identified this particular this S1. Now it is trying to return as a some 3 characters. Now what I will do, we have a 2 methods. What are the 2 methods? Basically 2 uppercase. So what exactly this two uppercase is going to do here? What exactly this particular two uppercase is doing? Now, whatever the objects we are having, those objects are going to convert it into the uppercase here. Now you can see CDE, but the char, whatever this particular char array we provided, these are not the uppercases. So these are all the lower cases values. But using this particular two uppercase method, now what we are doing it, we are trying to converting we are trying to converting the given string, like the particular given string, into uppercase here. So some cases it is important here. Sometimes what happens internally, we may provide the values as a uppercase and lowercase. So to want to, like, if you want to equal or if you want to compare this particular two string, now first we need to go for the either lowercase or uppercase, then we'll get the exact match here. So in that case, now what we are doing is we are having two methods. The first method is uppercase, second one is lowercase. So based on our requirement, we can convert the value uppercase or lowercase here. So the simple example we identified, we are trying to converting into the uppercase. So after getting this uppercase value, so again, if you are interested, you can convert into the lowercase also. So this is the uppercase and lowercase important section here. Now we are having another important method called joining method. So joining method basically, whenever you're trying to give as a some list of or multiple string values or multiple characters, now what it will do, between this particular each character, if you want to go for any space, or if you want to go for any colon, if you want to go for any comma or hyphen, okay, so that we can do using this particular join method. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to comment out this particular entire section, and here we can go for this particular section of code. So here string dot join method. Okay, string dot join method. Now what we are doing is the first method we'll use here. Most of the cases will go for the first method, but the second method, iterable, this so far we could not understand this iterable. We'll see this iterable concept when we can use, whenever we are trying to discuss about the collection framework. Okay, currently we'll use this particular join method here. Basically, iterable is the one interface. Iterable is the one interface. Any class, so those are extended from this particular iterable, those information we can provide here. So otherwise we can go for this particular first method. The second method, internally it is using the generic condition. This condition already we discussed, bounded type condition. Okay, currently we don't have a bounded type condition, we can go for the normal method. Now what exactly it is doing it, so this is the three dot basically what is saying, where concept. The where concept also we already discussed in the previous classes here. Now, first method char sequence, second method same char sequence which is expecting multiple values. Now observe carefully. Here I want to provide as a hyphen. Hyphen I'm trying to providing. Now, what is the value we want to provide? For example, is str2. str2. Okay. Now what it will return this particular join method? Now I want to print this particular join method. Now carefully observe what exactly this join method is doing here. If you see, nothing is written, because so returns whatever we are having 4 5 6, this particular thing, same thing is providing. But now for example, if I convert as a 2 char array, so 2 char array we cannot use, because here cannot what is saying, basically cannot resolve the method. So join first method is expecting string, second method what we are expecting, char array. It is not, the second parameter is it's not satisfying the type here. I remove this. Now what is the another important way to work on this particular join method? Okay, what is the important way? Now if you observe carefully here, I'm trying to use this particular alpha, second one is beta, something like a gamma. Okay, now observe carefully how this particular result will print now. Earlier, whatever the string I provided, this particular str2, it's treated as a one string here. It's treated as a one string. But what is expecting three dots? Three dots is nothing but where concept. It is going to expect multiple values. It is going to expect as a multiple values. Now you can see I'm trying to run with the multiple strings here. Now see the result. After alpha, it is appended with the hyphen, and after beta, it is appended with this particular hyphen. Okay. Now what you understand here, whenever we provide multiple values, but here each and every value, now we come up with a comma separated here. Whenever we are trying to providing what is appending here, this particular hyphen is appending. But this applicable for when we are having more than one string. But earlier, this str2 entire this particular section, now it is treated as a one string. Because of this, the particular hyphen, it is not applied. It is not applied. When we are having more than one string, this hyphen is applied. Not only this particular hyphen, you can go for this particular comma also. You can go for the comma, whatever you are interested. You can provide any character. Now if you can see, comma is applied. Okay. If you are not interested, you can go for this particular star also. You can go for this particular star also. Now, what exactly this join method is doing now? Join method, whenever we are having multiple values, in between each and every value, so we are providing differentiate, like using the comma, we are trying to differentiating the two things, or hyphen, or star, or you can go for the colon, or you can go for the double colon, whatever you are interested. Now, if I use this particular double colon, so this is mainly we use in the method reference concept here, but same thing and now I'm trying to use here also. Okay, based on our requirement, we can use whatever you are interested. Simply, this particular join method, it is going to differentiate two strings, or we can say these two strings are going to concatenate with the delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but the symbol. Based on the symbol, it is going to concatenate here. This is what we need to understand here. Okay. So any questions regarding this particular join method? Okay. So now these are about the string related method here. Now we need to understand about the string buffer class. So we discuss most of the method, those we are going to use in the real-time application here. Like so, try to focus. We'll have some other methods here, but some other method will not use mostly. But here we can go for the uh, like is empty. If you see is empty, what exactly is empty will do? Whether the given object is empty or not. Now what is the difference between is empty and is blank here? So now you see value dot length. Okay, value dot length here. Now if the length equals to 0, if the length equals to 0, then we are checking this empty method will return as a true. What about this particular blank method? So we are having two methods here. Is blank. So carefully observe, is blank what is doing it? It is observe carefully, is checking the white spaces. It is checking the white space. Even though if you give the space also, so that will consider as a one space. Now it will try to return as a false here. It is not a blank here because we given some space. Space in string, it is going to be stored in the one index location. So based on our requirement, now what we can do, we can go for this particular is empty or is blank. Most of the cases is blank is fine. When in case the given string we may get as empty. Okay, but these are the two methods we can check null related conditions here. The first one is empty, empty. We are trying to check as a 0. So when we'll get a 0? Whenever we are having empty values. Whenever we are having empty values. So let's observe the simple example. We'll get the more clarity on this particular is empty and string here. STR3. So currently empty string I'm providing. Okay, is blank. Now I want to check is blank. First we'll see the blank, whether it is a blank. Now you can see it is a blank here. Okay, same thing. Now I'm trying to go for the is empty. So is empty also returning true. Why it is returning true? Because length 0 only. Here we don't have. For example, I given only space. For example, just I given the space. Now observe is blank. What is doing here? Is blank. Even though if you give the space, even though if you give the space, now it is checking the whether the given string is having any space. Yes, it is having space. So it is returning true. Now what about this particular is empty? Why the is empty is not returning? Because this space is considering as a one value. Getting the point. Now because of this, the length it is not satisfying with a 0. The length currently we are having 1. In the 0 index location, what is the values inserted? Space value. The 32 whatever we are discussing, the value it is going to insert it. This is very important here. When we can check this particular is empty, when we can go for this particular is blank. For example, in place of this particular blank, now I am checking ABC. Now I am checking ABC. Now if you observe, both will return false. Both are returning false because is blank, it is does not contain the blank. It is having some values here. It is having some values here. Now this is what we need to understand here. This is the way these two methods are going to be used. Blank basically it will try to check the spaces also. Even though if you give the spaces, that will return true. But the spaces it is not going to check under this particular empty method. Okay, like this we have a few more methods. So those we need to understand how this particular thing is going to be implemented. Now, so replace all we discussed. Along with the replace all, we have a method called replace first method. So what exactly this particular replace first method will do? Here if you see str3 dot replace, sorry, replace first here. Now what we are doing here, spring this particular string regular expression. So what we can provide here, now if this particular a is available, replace with something like a d. Replace with this particular d here. Okay, now if you see, if I'm going to run this dbc, now what I'm doing here abc. So here if I'm going to give as a abc a, but carefully observe here the second a it is not replacing. Second a it is not replacing. Only it is replacing this particular first a here. This is the main advantage. Now what we are saying, if this particular a character multiple times if it is coming, now we are doing only the first occurrence. We are not modifying the last occurrences here, only first occurrences here. What about this particular previous replace method? Wherever we are having the specified character, it will replace in the all the location. It will replace in the all the locations. So that is only the differences between replace and replace first method, as well as replace all. All also will become same. Whenever we are giving the particular regular expression, whenever the regular expression is satisfied, entire this thing, it will replace all the values. Okay, this is the first one. Now, second one, replace one dot split method. Replace first method dot split. So currently, how we are trying to split? Split basically, it is going to check here. If you given something like if the given string is having hyphen, or if the given string having some comma or space, it will try to split this. For example, here this is a str we are having. Okay, str dot split method I'm calling. Now if you see here, I'm giving only space here. Here I'm giving only space. So how these objects are going to be, divided into the multiple parts here. Now split I'm calling here. If you observe, I'm trying to run in the debug mode. Okay, I'm trying to run in the debug mode. Now if you see, this is the split method we are calling. This is the split method. Now carefully observe here, this particular split, what is doing here? Returns the index within this something. But how it is splitted here? Now if you see, between this particular returns and the THE, we have some space. Now here you can see returns and space, THE space, index space. Based on this particular space, now what happened here? It is divided into the multiple strings here. Based on this particular space, now it is divided into the multiple strings here. Now, how many strings we divided into the? Now, if you see 0, 17, 0, 17, something like 18. So 18 is the current length of this particular string array here. So now, how many object we got it? Like how many string object we got it? 18, 18 string object here. But here, what we did? This is the original string. Using this particular original string, whenever we are having the space, now we divided into the multiple string object. So how we are doing it? Using this particular split method. Okay, this is very important here. This is very important method when we are trying to compare each and every string. Now we'll go for this particular split method. We'll try to split based on the particular character, like a space or hyphen, whatever you are interested in. Now this is what we need to understand. Now another important one, join here. Now join dot split, and here I'm going to use double colon. Join dot split, I'm going to use double colon. Now same example, now I'm trying to run in the debug mode. Using this particular double colon, now it will try to divide into multiple strings here. Okay, now let's go to this particular join method, like a split here, how it is divided. 0, 1, 2. It is divided into the 3 objects. But here, this join basically it is trying to give as a single object. It is appended with a double colon. So this is the main purpose of the join. Now, using this particular double colon, now the same join, whatever it is written, again we converted into the pieces. How many pieces we got it here? Using this split, we got it 3 objects here. Each and every object again, it is a string object only. This is what we need to understand regarding this particular split method. Any questions? Like a blank, empty, replace first, split method. Okay. So these are the important method we need to understand, because string is one of the important class. Whenever you are trying to write anything without this particular string class, you are not going to write a single line in the real-time applications here. So you can think how much this particular string class is important here. Because of that, now I'm discussing each and every method what is available under this particular string class here. Okay, so most of the method we discuss here, like a few of the methods are still are available. Go to this particular string class, try to debug the string class related method, how it is implemented. Focus on only public related method. So the private related method internally it is going to call. No need to identify how it is working, but focus more about this particular public method here. Okay, so this is what you need to work on this particular string related. Now try with a multiple example. Now we'll discuss about the string buffer. Okay, so basically string buffer, it supports a modifiable. String is not going to be support the modifiable, because string is a unmodifiable object. Getting the point. But here, whatever the string buffer we are going to discuss, it is a modifiable. Whenever you are trying to change, automatically it will reflect on the current object here. Getting the point? Because string basically it is a fixed length object. Once object is created, it is not going to growable automatically. But here, the string buffer, it is not a fixed length. String buffer basically it is a, so it is having the nature call automatically growing the object here. But the same nature it is not having under this particular string class. Because of this, we'll call it as a string is a immutable object. But string buffer, it is not a immutable object. It is a mutable. It's something like a modifying the object here. We'll see how this particular string buffer is going to be implemented internally. So to understand this, now what I'm doing here, I'll go for this particular different class here. Okay. Now here, we'll try to discuss about the string buffer demo. Okay. Under this particular string buffer demo, first we need to understand the constructor. To understand the constructor, how we will do? So using this particular new operator. Now here you can see string buffer constructor. String buffer constructor. Now how many we are having? These are the constructor. Here you can see first one is default constructor. Second one is capacity. Now here we are providing integer value. Here we are discussing about the capacity. Now the third constructor string buffer, it is expecting string as a parameter. String as a parameter. The fourth one is also it is expecting char sequence. Char sequence here we can provide the character related as well as string related parameters here. Okay. Now how many we are having? Four type of constructor we are having under this particular string buffer. But mainly what we need to focus here, capacity. So why we are seeing this particular capacity here? This is important here. Okay. For example, if I'm trying to providing as a something like a 45 here. For example, if I'm trying to providing as a 45. Now what happens internally? What happens internally, this particular 45, what it will do? Now let me go to this particular constructor first. Okay. So this is a constructor it is going to call. This is the constructor it is going to call. But if you see super we are calling, what exactly this particular super keyword will do? Super keyword basically it is going to call the super class constructor. Now what is the super class for this particular string buffer? Now how we can identify? We need to go for this particular class level. Now here you can see string buffer. Internally it is extending from this particular abstract string buffer. So currently string buffer is extending abstract string buffer. So we'll try it as a string buffer is a super class of abstract string buffer here. Okay, we'll identify the abstract string buffer, what it will do. We'll identify string buffer, abstract string buffer, what it will do. Okay, before going to discuss here, when we are trying to call this particular string buffer default constructor, what is the capacity we are passing? 16. 16. What exactly this particular 16 is doing? It is a default capacity. Will store by default 16 characters. Okay. Now we'll see how this particular super is doing. Now if you observe capacity, okay, parameter we are passing. Now what you are understanding here, value is equals to new byte. Value is equals to new byte. Now again, what you are understanding, even though we are trying to providing the string, internally the strings are going to store as a byte here. But how those are converting? Based on the ASCII values, those are going to be converted here. Okay. But now what exactly we are doing this particular capacity? The capacity initially if it is a 16, 16 string related characters we can store, or 16 byte values we can store by default. But if I want to increase, it, so this is a method internally it is going to take care of increasing section. We'll see how it is going to increase here. Now what you understand here, this particular constructor, if you are not providing explicitly capacity, By default, we can store the 16 characters. Okay. Now, explicitly, if you provide the 45, now what we are doing is, so this is the way object creating. Byte b is equals to new. Okay, this is something like array type I missed here. Now here, byte, here I'm trying to providing the 45. Whenever I'm providing the 45, it will create a bigger byte array with empty values. Okay, so here you can see it start with the 0 and it end with the 44. 44 and it start with the 0. So on between the we are having index values. Now this is the big empty byte array it is going to create. Empty byte array it is going to create. But when this particular byte array it is going to fill the values. When this particular byte array it is going to fill this particular values here. So this is what we need to understand here. Now for example, I'm not providing the 45. So simply I'm going to provide the simply I will provide this particular string here. Now in place of this particular string, I'm going to provide as a string buffer here. I'm going to provide as a string buffer. Now debug this particular code here. Now I'm calling here. Now if you go to this particular string buffer, debug this application. Now we are calling constructor, string buffer constructor we are calling. What is the object we are providing? String buffer. Okay. Now you can see length plus 16. Length plus 16. What is the length we are having currently? Currently, what is the length we are having? 12. So 12 plus 16. How much we are getting here? Around 28 we are getting. So whenever we are calling this particular 28, now what we will do? We are going to call the superclass constructor. Now we are trying to execute this. What is the capacity we are getting? 28. Now here you can see byte. Now go for the value. Now if you see 0, 27. 0, 27 is nothing but 28. But any value is inserted as of now? No value. All are empty. Whenever I'm giving the 45 also, what it will do? It will give the 0 to 44. It will create a same object like this, 0 to 44. But values will not insert. But how the values are going to be inserted? So see, after calling this, now we are coming back to the constructor. Now we are calling, which method we are calling internally? Append method. Append method we are calling. So what exactly this append method will do? What is the parameter we are passing? String buffer. What is the parameter we are passing? String buffer. Like it is a string, now we are passing same here. Now let me go to this string buffer append method. Okay. Now call this super.append. Again we are calling the abstract string buffer class. Now let me go to the super class. Now check this. We are calling the length here. Length it is trying to return as a 12. So ensure capacity internal. We are checking the whether the given the capacity is available within this particular byte whatever the array we created. Now let's go to this particular method old capacity. So what is the old capacity we are having? 28. Okay, because just now we created the byte array. This is the byte array value. Now value dot length if you do, it will try to return as a 28 only. Okay. After this, what we are doing a minimum capacity. What we are having minimum capacity? 12. So minimum capacity minus old capacity. If we get still greater than 0, still greater than 0, minimum is 12, old capacity is 28. Now we'll get a minus values. Minus value, those are not greater than 0. Now condition is not satisfied. Condition is not satisfied. So understand carefully. Minimum capacity is 12 minus 28 we are having old capacity. If you do this calculation, the result will get as a minus only. Will not get the positive values. So the minus value greater than or 0. This condition will become false. So the minus value basically less than 0. Less than 0 condition will satisfy. But what we are checking is greater than 0. Greater than basically when we get the positive values, then only condition will satisfy. but currently it will not satisfy. When this particular condition will satisfy, so 30, minimum capacity is 30 minus 28. In that case, the 2 will get this 2 as a positive value. This particular section will get as a greater than condition will satisfy. Whenever the condition will satisfy, now what we are doing a new capacity we are calling. Okay, new capacity method we are calling. We are trying to print this particular new capacity and copying the existing object. We'll see how it is going to be work here. But currently it is not matching. Now coming out of this, going back. So put to string at. What exactly this particular put to string at method is doing here? What is doing it? Count. What is a count? Currently 0. Now what is the str? Str is a given string. Now go to this particular put string method. Coder. Coder. So coder is not satisfied. Now get to byte here. Now what you understand this get bytes? Where we discuss this get bytes? We already discussed in the string related get bytes method. If you go to this particular string demo 2, here where we are having start with end with get bytes. Here you can see we are having get bytes method. Okay, so get byte is also one overloaded method we already discussed here. So that is a method now currently it is calling here. Str is a type of string. String related get bytes method we are calling, and value we are providing. So index we are providing and coder. Okay, what is the value we are having? 0. Now what is the index we are having? 0. So coder basically it is also 0. Now how it is going to start? In the 0 index onwards, all the values are going to be copied. Now if you see in the value earlier 0 to 27 we have 0, but currently these are the values are inserted 0 to 11. 0 to 11. How it is inserted? Because of get bytes method. This is the array type we are passing. From index we are passing as a 0. So coder basically how many values we want to copy. So there is no condition. By default all the values are going to be copied here into values type of byte here. If you see byte array. Okay. Now what you understand here? So when we are trying to work with this particular string or string buffer, currently all the values are going to store under the byte array based on the position, like based on this particular capacity, all the values are going to be stored here. But string it is not going to be expanded, but string buffer it is going to be expanded. So how it is going to be expanded, we'll see. Okay, but currently we are discussing only one constructor, how it is constructing the string buffer object. But finally we call the str.getBytes method. Now the value string value converted into the byte, and all the byte related values are stored under the byte array. Coming back to it, so currently we are returning this. So what is this? It is trying to return as a string buffer object here. String buffer object here. This is what we need to understand here. Okay. Now coming back to the constructor. So this is one of the important example on this particular string buffer constructor. Any questions? Okay, this is very important here. The constructor basically it is going to play a very important role. Once objects are filled, now automatically it will create a new byte array. It will copy the old existing objects here, old existing object, and along with the old, it will try to copy the new values also. Okay, this is what we need to understand regarding this particular string buffer. So now if you don't have anything, now I'm stopping the session up to here. We'll discuss about the remaining constructor. Along with the constructor, we'll discuss about the what are the methods we are having under this particular string buffer class here. Okay, if you don't have anything, we'll stop the session up to here. We'll continue tomorrow. So still anyone having any questions regarding our today's session? Okay. Now, if you don't have, I'm
So
stopping and we'll
I have
continue
a
tomorrow.
I have a doubt. I have a doubt.
Yes.
Hello. So this is my first class and I missed the previous classes. So where can we find the recorded videos for this session?
Okay, just message me in WhatsApp. I will provide the link.
On what number? I mean, what is the